anybody. So I want to tell you something that for many of us, you might not understand, and this is what I truly believe, who's actually living inside of you. So the reason why we're going to do greater things than him is because he's living inside of you, and he's always going to do greater. Did you get that? That Jesus placed himself inside of you when you accept him as your Lord and Savior, and it's inherent in his ability as God to constantly do better, to constantly do greater. So you do greater when you let him out and let God be greater. I just want to let you know that when you said yes to Jesus, it wasn't just a nicotine patch. It wasn't just a 12-step program. That's not what Jesus is. Jesus isn't just a behavioral modification plan. Jesus isn't just a few good thoughts that were written thousands of years ago on a piece of paper. Jesus wasn't just a great scholar, like many believe, or a great prophet or philosopher who had this crazy audacity to love people. That's not who Jesus simply is. Jesus isn't a get-rich-quick plan. Jesus isn't an insurance policy on your eternal position when you die. Jesus is not just salvation from hell. Jesus is not just a resurrection. That's not all that Jesus is. See, many of us come to Jesus in need of the nicotine patch, in need of the rehabilitation program, in need of marriage counseling, in need of some level of restoration, in need of inner healing, but not realizing that when we say yes to him, he doesn't just do that, he does more because he's greater. Jesus is God. Jesus is the creator of the heaven and the earth. Jesus is the originator of humanity. Jesus is our very breath. Jesus is our very life. Jesus is the first, Jesus is the last, he's the Alpha and Omega, he's the beginning and the end, he's the author and the finisher and the perfecter of your faith. Jesus is God, and that God lives inside of you, and you might just get what you came to him for, but he's going to give you so much greater because that's who he is. I don't think you know who's living inside of you. And many of us might say, well, Jedidiah, I believe that God's greater, but I don't really believe that I'm called to greater. Like no matter what you tell me, because of my past, because of my life, because of my junk, because of my issues, because of what's happened, because of the statistics that I've fallen into, like there's no way I'm called to greater. I'm just horrible. I'm ugly. I suck. I hate myself. I'm not called to greater. Well, that's cool, but it says greater is he that's in you than he that's in the world. So no matter what you think of yourself, the person living inside of you is greater. And so you can come as ugly, messed up, dysfunctional, distorted, hating yourself. You can come as weak or as outcast or as let down as possible. And he's going to be greater. Which means, guess what? If he's in you, you're greater. You can't